Hello, beautifuls. Long time no see. I've been on a bit of a hiatus. It's so nice to be back here with all of you. If you are new, thank you for tuning in. And if you are returning, thank you and welcome as always. You know, with all the uncertainty that is going on in the world, many people are prepping, and they're doing that in many ways. Some are amassing huge stockpiles of canned goods, or they're canning, or they are creating survival techniques. And I have to say that every once in a while I get that impetus and I have to tune in, because I want to assess if that is actually my intuition and my higher wisdom directing me, or if it's fear. And every time that I tune in thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I should be buying dry goods, or maybe I should be amassing large amounts of silver, I get a different answer. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with that external preparation, and that might be the direction you're called in. However, I want to share another perspective. In that place where I tune in repeatedly, I have been shown the biblical story of the Israelites in the desert, and the story particularly of manna. For those of you that are not aware of that story, the Israelites were wandering around in the desert before they could claim their land after they had escaped from Egypt. And in this place, they were in the desert. They had no food. They had no sustenance. And so they started to complain to Moses, their leader. And he prayed for the people, and they were blessed with manna. And what manna was this white snow-like substance that covered the ground every morning, sort of like dew. And they would gather it up and put it in their earthen vessels. The only stipulation was they were not to amass more than they needed. And the story of the Israelites is a difficult one, and they learned lessons the hard way, not unlike most of us. And so in their greed, they started to stockpile this, and then of course it rotted, and their journey became much more difficult. And it got me thinking, because I was shown that vision, that story. When we have a stockpile, it's not really going to do us much good if we are really trying to live from the heart space, because how can I feel good when I have a surplus and my brother is starving? You can also look at it the other way. The moment that we have a surplus, we also become a target. And I'm not saying I'm doing that, or I'm not stockpiling out of fear. I'm not stockpiling for a very different reason, because I've been preparing in a different way. And I have been urged to do this and to also share it here. What if the preparation had nothing to do with the external, but it was completely an internal process? And as I started to meditate on that, understanding that the divine provided the Israelites exactly what they needed when they needed it. And what if our job was to anchor into our truth, the solidity of our truth, not one truth, our truth. And in that place, we'll discover the ability of the divine, the universe, to provide for us exactly what it is we need when we need it. Not only physically, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. That involves protection. But in order to come to that place, we have to nurture a deep sense of faith and trust. First, having a sense of safety within self. Because if we can't find safety within, it's really hard to focus long enough to discover our truth. As I was contemplating this, I was shown another example from the Bible, and that is the prophet Elijah. And he was sent into a barren land to do some work. And he was a bit fearful because he knew that there was nothing there. And he was told to have faith because he would be provided for, that he would get his water from the river. And when he was at the river, he would also find what he needed. And when he went to the river every morning, the ravens provided him with food. They did that also in the evening. And I know that to many the Bible is a parable, and yes, that may not have physically happened, but the lessons are still palpable. If you relax into the place of trust and faith, while also following your intuitive guidance, your higher wisdom into action, which is very different than thinking or forced action, you will fall into the slipstream in which everything you need is provided. And this time that we are going through right now, we are being asked to do that preparation, to step into that sense of safety, that unbreakable, unwavering trust and knowing that all is exactly how it is supposed to be and will flow exactly in that way. I thank you so much for listening to this perspective, and until we speak again, please be well.